So we were having a conversation kind of off camera, and you were talking about the viability of a good flashlight. What are your thoughts on that?
So solid flashlight, I think this, in my personal opinion, is like the best self-defense tool. Besides the firearm, hands down is the best self-defense
Clearly,
tool.
yeah.
But this right here, it's, in my opinion, is better than pepper spray, better than a knife, things of that nature. For the simple fact, I can shine this on anybody, and it's not a big deal. If I'm walking out to my car and I happen to see somebody duck down, I can't pull out my gun and be like, hey, what are you doing? And they're changing their tire. I'm going to jail. Can't pull out a knife. Hey, what are you doing? Because I'm now the aggressor. I can't just pepper spray over there and hope, start coughing. But this, I can pop it up. Hey, what are you doing? Oh, you're changing a tire. Let me help you. I'm a good human being. Now, if they're up to no good, this is easy just to put in somebody's eyes right away. In my personal opinion, this is kind of like the modern day Ninja Star. It throws somebody off for a second. Even in a bright setting, this has good throw. So I can put this up here. It is a fist pack. So if you know how to box or know how to throw punches, it's solid. If you can just strike normally, it is a force multiplier. So this is also that aspect. I constantly carry it for the simple fact it's more useful. I'm going somewhere I don't quite like that. I can shine it over there and check before I even get over there. So I have a massive reactionary gap before just walking into some dark alleyway.
Important, you see the zombie creeping over there waiting for you to come around.
I'm like, oh, okay, well, no, fuck that shit. But this gives me that reactionary gap that I like a lot more than being right up there and like, oh, what is that? I can't tell. I can't just pull my gun out and use that flashlight. So here, I like this a lot more because, you can take this anywhere.
In terms of utilizing, let's say you don't have a knife. Now, for security, if we're talking about the work aspect of what I do, in security, a lot of companies, you can't carry a knife. It's actually frowned upon to carry knives in almost any aspect of security, specifically here in Portland. Most, if not every security guard has a flashlight. So in terms of what you were demonstrating in an appendix situation, and this again could go to a 3 o'clock situation if you're doing gun retention in that same situation, can you use that flashlight with the same technique in terms of striking this hand that's going for the gun and being able to utilize that as a secondary option?
Absolutely, yeah. You can strike the hand. It's still blunt force. I can strike the head, and at the same time, so I'm using 2 strikes at once. So this flashlight can actually strike the head as my own elbow is coming down. So I can strip and then obviously pop and then start throwing punches, get back, and then mess with this. And so the military, law enforcement, security, this is underutilized. For probably law enforcement security. The military has figured this shit out a while back. You come through rooms, you just on and off, on and off, on and off, because it throws off your senses. Bright light, suddenly dark, you can't see anything. So anybody that's ever used a restroom in the middle of the night, flicked on a light, go to the bathroom, turn it back off, you're going back to your bedroom by braille. And this is substantially brighter. But yeah, you can absolutely, strike the hand, strike the face. Don't get a Coupeton. This is something you can actually carry. You can go to airports, anything. I've flown with this several times. I seen individual last time I went to Vegas that actually had a little Coupeton on their keychain, and they pulled it off.
Absolutely,
this is like, a flashlight. It also doesn't have any of those like bladed edge.
Bladed serrations,
I'm not a fan of those for the simple fact, 1, can't go to airport with it. As soon as you see that looks like a weapon. 2, this is, I'm using it as a blunt impact weapon and a bright light. I don't want to get a lot of cuts on somebody that might have something that I don't want.
Absolutely, definitely. I think that, we have talked about our firearms, we've talked about secondary options with an EDC knife. I know you hate the word situational awareness, so I want to say that the most important thing that we really overlook in all of these conversations is mindset. You talk about being able to flip that switch, to understand what you're dealing with, what you're coming up against, and how to mitigate that in an instant. That mindset is really what people, more so than anything, need to be developing. The slashing techniques, the skills to do that, being able to defend yourself on the ground, being able to utilize your firearm, medical, all of these things, so important. But if people don't know when to flip the switch, what the threat indicators are, and when it's time to go into motion or action, they're really at a disadvantage. And something like a flashlight that we all have access to, and so many people, like you said, it's just so underutilized. Any final thoughts on utilizing or picking a knife for EDC and the utilization of it?
Final thoughts on that one. Well, the big one is that, like as you said, the flipping the switch, realizing when you're actually in the fight doesn't have to be physical confrontation. That reactionary gap, if we are in some type of verbal conflict and you keep encroaching and I keep changing angles, right here, if you do it again, I know I'm in the fight. So this is, a lot of people don't like this, the strike first comment. Like, if I know I'm in the fight, you're not backing down, I might get that first strike in because I'm already in a defensive thing. So is being able to flip that, because I don't want to be like, oh, he's encroaching on me, oh, I'm getting hit, oh, okay, now I have to fight. I'm already behind the game.
And this is why it's so important to understand your local laws, to understand the local ordinance around self-defense, and then also understanding the force continuum, when you can utilize force, when you can utilize non-lethal force or deadly force. These are all things that, if you're learning these things, if you're training these things, you are responsible, whether you are or not. If you implement any of these things, you're responsible for it. So be aware of it and understand it. I want to thank you guys for joining us today for this episode.